WHB Kansas City, the power of sports.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the number one motorsports show for over 2 decades, Track Talk. Brought to you by Rod-In Supply and the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the racing boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning. Welcome to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I'm Scott Traylor. He's Kirk Elliott. We're the Racing Boys. Todd Surprise doing the broadcast here for us at RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Who do we got back there at the studio?
We got Covell Hudson.
Covell.
Our new, guy back there.
All right.
Drake is standing by as well.
All right.
So,
glad to have you with the show, Covell.
Yeah, Covell. That's
Thank
nice
you.
to
I
have you
appreciate
around. Glad to have you on board. So, Kirk, last night, there was a lot of sprint car action in Kansas City last night.
you and I went to two different places.
We went to two different places. You went to the NWRA race out at Lakeside Speedway, and I went to the POWRi 410 sprint car race that was out at I-70 Speedway last night. How was your night last night?
Good night. They had a good crowd out at Lakeside Speedway last night. 16 of the non-wing sprint cars were in action last night, and Wyatt Burks came through with the big win.
So how was the race? Was it pretty good?
Yeah, it was entertaining to watch, especially at the start of the race. Burke started inside the second row. Luke Howard, who looked really strong in his heat race, was on the pole of that race.
He ended up running fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other guy that we kept our eye on last night was the teammate of the race winner last night, and that was Dakota Earls, who won a heat race. Earls and Luke Howard won the two heat races last night, but Dakota Earls started on the outside of the front row, and he got a good jump at the start. I thought maybe Luke Howard was going to be the guy to beat, but either the other guys picked up the handling on their race cars or Luke Howard lost something from the time that he dominated his heat race to the A-main, but he faded just a little bit. Dakota Earls grabbed the lead, and then Wyatt Burks had to fight hard to get around Dakota Earls, but once he did, he pretty much checked out from there. But it was some pretty good, interesting action prior to Burks grabbing the lead, but once he did jump out in front, it was he checked out from there.
Kirk, was that a little disappointed? Only 16 cars out there?
Well, 4 of those cars, I was talking with Ray Cunningham after the race last night, 4 of those cars that they would normally have decided to put a wing on and go to I-70 last night, the 2 Wagners, for instance.
Well,
Jack Wagner, who I thought would be at Lakeside because he runs pretty well at Lakeside, won a race there at one time.
Right.
He decided to put a wing on and go to I-70 last night, as did Xavier Doney and a couple of other guys.
Xavier Doney ran 9th last night. You know, I'll say this about Xavier Doney. I think he's a better non-wing sprint car driver than he is a wing sprint car driver.
And he's won a non-wing sprint car feature last year. I think it was at Salina he won a feature event.
I think he's a better non-wing sprint car driver than he is a wing sprint car driver.
I don't think he's driven a wing car all that much, has
No,
he?
he hasn't. He hadn't done that much. So, but he ended up running 9th last night. And so last night at I-70 Speedway, Kirk, they had the OCRS cars there, and they had the POWRi 410 sprint cars there as well.
Good number of OCRS car. What, they had 28 of those cars last night?
They had, I believe it was 26.
Yeah.
If I remember right, a couple cars didn't start to feature, but Xavier, Jake Buback, he picked up the win last night.
Big win.
That was a big win, and we're gonna have Jake Buback on here in just a little bit and talk about his
outran Brian Brown.
Brian Brown, and you know, let me tell you something. When I went down there and I talked to him last night, I said, "How's it feel to outrun Blackjack Brian Brown right here at I-70 Speedway?" He says, "It feels good."
And that's really good because the way Brown's been running lately, he had a first and second place finish last weekend with the Outlaws at Knoxville.
Right.
He won the week before that. So you're thinking, you see Brown on the pole, that, okay, he's just going to run away and hide. But that isn't what happened.
That's not what happened. Well, Jake, listen, there was a couple people that were sitting next to me, and I said to him right before the start of the race, I said, hey, that 1X car is pretty fast. I said, he's going to give Brown all he can handle. And it's exactly what he did. He led every lap of that race last night.
You saw Jake Buback win a couple of races on the ASCS Tour.
Yeah, for sure.
And he remember, he won like the first 3 or 4 of those Belleville 305 Nationals a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And, of course, he'd been running some 360 cars for a while, but he really made a name for himself in the 305 cars here several years ago. But he stepped up and, to win a 410 race like that, how many 410 races has Jake Buback even run, let alone win?
That'd be a good question for him to ask him when we get him on the air here in just a little bit. So we'll talk to him about that. Kirk, Sam Haferteef Jr. maybe picked up the biggest win of his career last night.
And that's saying
at
something.
Eldora, $12,000 victory, and he picked it up at Eldora. And it looked like Rico was in charge of that race, wasn't it?
Well, Sam admitted himself in Victory Circle he got it handed to him because Rico was going to win the race had he not had that tire go down.
Left rear tire.
Yeah. And Rico, I picked Rico to win the Million race coming up here next month. That's how well he's been running, especially at Eldora Speedway. But for Sam Haferteef to be in a position to pick up where Rico dropped out, that is still a big deal for Sam to go out there, and that is saying something. You said maybe the biggest win of his career. It probably is. Here's a guy that's won 3 short track nationals. What is it, 5 ASCS championships?
Yep, 5 championships.
I mean, really made a big name for himself in the 360 cars, and he switched over to 410s to go more full-time here a couple of years ago, and he struggled just a little bit trying to get that program up and going with Hills Racing. But last night was a breakthrough win for Sam Haferteef.
Listen, we've been saying this for some time now. Because of the cost of 360 motors, and you got to rebuild the 410s a little bit more often, right? Because you can only run them probably about 12 races, and then you got to do a rebuild on it, which that cost you about probably $9 or $10 grand to do a rebuild on one of them. So that drives the cost up a little bit. But the cost of these 360 motors have gotten so out of hand that most people now are buying 410 motors to go and run with the All-Stars, the World of Outlaws, POWRi 410 series. I think 410 racing is making a comeback. Would you agree with me?
I would agree with that. And the other thing that's made that more adaptable to guys to go 410 racing, they pay more money at those 410 events.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, the money is as good as it's ever been at a lot of these events.
Well, it's just like last night. I think that if you started that A main last night out at I-70 Speedway, you got $500. So
what they paid to win out there last night?
I'm not sure what they paid to win last night.
And they're going to be at Lake Ozark Speedway tonight. Some of those guys are going to go to Knoxville instead of Lake Ozark Speedway, so it'll be interesting to see what the car count's going to be down at the lake tonight. But, big win for Jake Buback. I'm sure he'll be at the lake tonight, trying to capitalize again on that big win last night. Whit Gastineau wins the OCRS feature last night.
Well, I will not be going to the races tonight. I'm going to see Rival Sons tonight.
Down at the Uptown?
At the Uptown Theater. That's going to be a good concert, isn't it?
Yeah, make sure you get there early. The 2 opening acts are really good. I don't know the names. I just know I have many musician friends that have said, make sure you're there if you're there tonight to catch the 2 opening acts because they're really good. So if you're there, make sure you guys get there a little early. And I would too, Scott, because I've heard that, like I said, these are guys I trust, about music. So, that's
gotcha. Gio Scelzi wins at Beaver Dam last night, Kurt.
Yeah, big win for Gio. You remember he picked up the $50,000 to win high-limit race at Lakeside back in April. This is his first outlaw win of the year, but he had to hold off a big charge from David Gravel. to get that done last night.
I was just getting ready to set that up, that David Gravel on the last lap kind of did a slide job on him, and Gio ended up getting around him and beating him back to the line on the last lap.
And that's saying something.
Yeah.
For him to be able to hang on to that, because once David Gravel pulls that kind of a slider on you,
Yeah.
but, credit to Gio. He didn't buckle under that kind of pressure. He held it down and got to the checkered flag.
If you know anything about Giovanni Scelzi, you know that he's cool, calm, and collective, right?
Yeah.
That guy never gets worked up. His brother gets worked up. Dominic gets worked up a little bit. But Gio, he is just so steady and so good. Dominic always used to tell me that Gio is better than he is as a racer.
Yeah. Well,
And that's why Gio's
Dominic's a pretty good driver himself.
Dominic is pretty good, but he stays out on the West Coast for the most part. And Gio is traveling the country.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's a big win for him last night. Probably the biggest news last night is to see Carson Macedo back behind the wheel of the 41 car after one of the most horrific crashes you and I have ever seen at Knoxville last Saturday night.
Broken rib.
Burns, spent the night in the hospital, fiery crash, scary, scary situation at Knoxville. And to see Carson Macedo back behind the wheel of that 41 last night, that was a big story.
Let me ask you this, Kirk, but he didn't look like himself last night,
Well,
did
he had broken ribs, so I'm sure that he was affected somewhat by those injuries, but I thought maybe there might be a question.
He won his heat race, though.
Yeah, he did. And he qualified. I think he was a top qualifier.
He beat David Gravel in his heat race. Yeah.
So to see him back in the car, looked like he might have faded just a little bit in the A main there, but still a very solid performance for a guy that we weren't sure was going to make it out of that crash last Saturday night up at Knoxville.
Well, that was a pretty horrifying wreck, to be honest with you. That car was on fire and blazing last week, and several drivers jumped out of their cars to go over there and help him get out of that car. And for those drivers that did, I think Brad Sweet was one of the drivers, wasn't he?
Yeah, and Spencer Baston was another of the drivers that went over to help out. So,
but that car was that car was engulfed in flames, wasn't it?
Yes,
it was.
And I don't know if have they determined what broke on that car to shoot him straight into the wall like that?
We never did hear.
Something obviously broke on.
Something broke on the right front of that car because it turned right and just pounded the wall.
All of a sudden, and he had a fast race car. Matter of fact, he was chasing down David Gravel at the end of that race and might have had a shot at beating him there at the end. He had a fast race car.
Yeah, no doubt. What about Tasker Phillips? He won that Sprint Invader race up there at Eldon, Iowa.
At the Wapello County Fairgrounds. Saw some races up there in the day, back that half-mile racetrack.
Did you ever announce up there, Kurt?
One time I did. During an IMCA event. I helped announce an IMCA event with Jack Miller one time back in the mid-'70s. So,
Jack
and
Miller.
I went to a lot of races there back in the 70s. They used to have late model races and different events there.
Where would you rate Jack Miller as one of the great all-time announcers?
Hall of Famer. He's in the Sprint
No,
Car
I know,
Hall of Fame.
I know he's in the Hall of Fame.
The
but
best, in my opinion.
You think he's the best?
He was, well, Johnny Gibson would be considered the voice of sprint car racing. He's been doing it for so long, but prior to Johnny, Jack Miller was the guy.
Yeah.
So,
we had Jack Miller in our booth down there at the Chili Bowl one night, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah.
He was a Hall of Famer. He did the Chili Bowl. He helped do the Nationals every year.
Yeah.
Just a great guy.
He replaced you when you were let go up there at Knoxville, wasn't he?
Yeah. And that's why I didn't complain much. Say hire Jack Miller to
Right.
replace me. Hey, how about Matt Covington's big win last night? After all that he's been through, a lot of bad luck for Matt Covington. He comes through with a big win down at Humboldt last night in the ASAS National Tour.
Yeah. And Matt, he beat Jordan Mallett, Christopher Townsend, and Sean McCullen. And Sean won the night before at Creek County.
He
right?
did, and
Yeah.
that was a big win. They said the last national tour win for Sean McClellan was in 2006. That's a long time ago.
That's a long losing streak.
And he said in Victory Circle, Scotty Cook was interviewing him that this is his last year driving a sprint car. So he's
He said that?
yeah, he was talking about that. This is probably the last year we're going to be doing this.
Well, he's not a young man anymore.
They call him the man.
The man.
Sean McClellan.
Well, you know why they call him the man?
Why is that?
He
is a man.
He's a hockey player, Kirk.
I didn't know that.
And he is about as rough and tough as anybody could be. Listen, if you were to go get on Sean McClellan, you better bring your best game to the fight, because I'm telling you, he's a hockey player, and he knows how to fight. He's a pretty rough dude.
He's a pretty good race car driver, too.
He's a pretty damn good race car driver as well. So yeah.
Anyway, he won Thursday night at Creek County. Matt Covington last night at Humboldt. They're going to be at 81 Speedway tonight.
You know, it was good to see Jordan Mallett run second down there.
Yeah.
Jordan Mallett is a really good sprint car driver.
Yes, he is. He is and he's had some good finishes in the past. But he looks like that they've really gotten good performance out of that race car right now for Jordan Mallett. And I think he had a pretty good finish again last night, if I'm not mistaken. He had, he finished on the podium down at Creek County. And then last night he won a heat race, and he finished second to Matt Covington at Humboldt.
Hey, Kirk, I see that Austin O'Neill was down there running last night. How'd he end up doing? He ended up running 19th.
I think he had some issues. I didn't see that part where he was. I just watched the A main last night.
Right.
But I see where they were having some issues, maybe getting the car dialed in last night. So.
Happy birthday to Austin.
Anyway.
It was his birthday yesterday.
It was his birthday yesterday, wasn't
Absolutely.
it? Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well,
So
happy birthday to
Happy
him.
birthday to Austin.
Emerson Axum, 2 straight wins in the non-wing cars out in the Eastern Storm. He broke through with a big win at Williams Grove the night before, at Pottstown at Big Diamond Raceway, and then last night at Williams Grove, Emerson Axum did it again.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 big wins in a row for Emerson Axum on Eastern Storm. They're going to be at Port Royal tonight, and the Silver Crown cars are going to be at Port Royal tonight. So that's going to be a fun deal to watch. That's a can't-miss event. You put Silver Crown cars on Port Royal Speedway, that's a can't-miss deal.
Yeah, no doubt. And to win at Williams Grove, man, that's a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, it's huge.
That track. Let me just say this about that racetrack. I think that racetrack is a little too big for midgets. What do you think?
For midgets it is, but not non-wing sprint cars.
Oh, it was non-wing.
It was non-wing sprint cars.
Oh, okay.
No, it was perfect for the non-wing bunch last night.
So did you watch that race?
Yeah, I did. And it was Timmy Buckwalter, who's a local guy, had a pretty good race car last night. He started on the pole, led quite a bit of that race, but probably the biggest mover of the night last night was Dazen Persley, who came from 14th starting spot to end up second. And I think if he'd had 3 more laps, he might have had something for Emerson Axum there at the end of that race.
So he was running him down, was he?
Yeah.
At the end of the race?
Yeah. It was a real good finish there. So
Timmy Buckwalter ended up running third last night.
I'm not sure what's going on with Brady Bacon. He he hasn't had a good Eastern Storm at all. Matter of fact, since they had that tire laminate up at Knoxville, Brady Bacon has had some real tough go here with the Eastern Storm races.
He ran 13th last night.
He was running up in the top 10, and then I don't know, something going on with the race car. He had to restart at the back, so he had to rally from the back to 13th, but he had a 17th place finish the night before.
Man, it was sad to see him lose that race up there at Knoxville, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's some kind of karma that's gone against Brady since that happened, because he hasn't had a very good time of it since then.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Jake Buback is going to join us here on the show. We're going to talk about his win last night at I-70 Speedway. He'll be joining us next. This is all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Where are they racing at this week, Kurt?
They are off this weekend.
They are off this weekend.
And I was going to check that. I had that on the top of my mind, but we'll check on that.
All right, okay.
Get you the proper next race for the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints.
All right. Again, it's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. We'll be back with more right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB in a moment. Stay tuned.
Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Hey, Kansas City, it's Jeff Briggs with Victory Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, home of the Victory Effect. Our pledge to drive down vehicle pricing for the city we love. Guess what, KC? It's Ram season, and large discounts on trucks have returned. Now until the end of the month, Victory is offering new 2022 Ram 1500 Laramies up to $12,000 off. New 2022 Ram 2500 Bighorns up to $13,000 off. These trucks range from nicely equipped to fully loaded. Certain models qualify for 2.9% interest at 72 months in lieu of the factory rebates. By the way, are you tired of the traditional way of purchasing vehicles and you want a truly transparent dealer who gives you the best deal up front? A dealer that runs the highest Facebook and Google ratings in the Midwest? Look nowhere else besides Victory. Come experience true transparency and true relational selling. Visit us at Kansas City's only automotive outlet mall, the Legends Auto Plaza, on the southeast corner of 435 and Parallel, just east of Nebraska Furniture Mart, or online at victorymotorskc.com, where our first price is better than their last.
You know it's coming. The heat, the humidity, the high energy bills from forcing your AC into overdrive. If you want to beat the heat, call Window Nation today. Yeah, Window Nation. Replacing your old windows can be the most important thing you do to seal out savage summer swelter and keep cool and comfortable in your home, all while saving money. Right now, Window Nation will give you 2 windows free for every 2 you buy. Plus, you'll put 0 money down, make 0 payments, and pay 0 interest for 2 full years. That's like windows at half price and making free money for 24 months. And when you buy from Window Nation, you're also getting award-winning customer service, certified professional installation, premium materials, and the best warranty on labor, materials, glass, and window. This Beat the Heat summer sale won't last long. Call Window Nation now at 866-90-NATION or go online at windownation.com. Get 2 windows free with every 2 purchased, with no money down, no payments, and no interest payments for 2 full years. Window Nation, 866-90-NATION, or visit windownation.com.
Sporting Kansas City are flying high and look to keep it rolling back at home this Saturday night, taking on the reigning MLS Cup champs LAFC at 7:30 p.m. Tune in right here on Sports Radio 810 to catch all of the action as SKC look for their 5th straight win at Children's Mercy Park. And be sure to stay tuned in after the game for the final whistle post-match show. It is Sporting Kansas City and LAFC this Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. right here on your home for all things SKC soccer. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hen House has great specials at the Butcher Block, of course, for Father's Day and dear old dad. Ribeye steaks, I'm talking USDA choice, certified Hereford beef, boneless, 12 ounces, only $11 each or $13.99 a pound. How about top round roast or London broil? That's just $5.49 a pound. Fresh 85% lean ground fresh several times each day, $4.59 a pound. And make Dad some breakfast with Smithville Original Bacon. 12 ounces, just $3.49. See all these great specials and more at henhouse.com. Hen House, serving your family and my family in Kansas City since 1923.
30 seconds.
I'm Dr. Andrew Palmisano, a fellowship-trained orthopedic surgeon with Acentus Healthcare. Acentus now has orthopedic surgery and sports medicine. Myself and Drs. E.J. Wilkinson and Nick Aberly are available for all of your orthopedic needs. Come see our state-of-the-art clinics during our walk-in hours featuring same-day and next-day appointments, Monday through Friday in Leawood and on Parallel Parkway in Kansas City. Call 913-395-0294. 913-395-0294 to book your appointment at Ascentus Healthcare today.
Welcome back to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I'm Scott Traylor. He's Kirk Elliott. We're the Racing Boys. And joining us now is last night's winner out at I-70 Speedway, Jake Buback. Jake, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys?
We're doing really good. Not as good as you last night because I think a lot of people figured that when Brian Brown starts on the front row that he's going to win that race. But you had something to say about that last night. You led every lap of that race last night. That was a dominating win, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty surprising to me too. Honestly, we were hoping just to run second to him, and we would have been really thrilled with that.
Yeah.
But our car was really good, and fortunately, on that original start, we were able to start on the top and get a good jump on him.
But you outran him in that heat race too, didn't you? If I'm not mistaken.
No, he wasn't in our heat race. He was in the second one.
Oh, he was in the second one. Yeah. So I guess Chase Park ended up outrunning Brian Brown in that first race, in that second heat race. How about last night? Did that track take a little bit of rubber last night?
Yeah, it did. It started to take rubber on both entries of the corners and a little bit off 4, but they kept working it and they kept trying. But that track's just so big and fast that it's kind of hard to get 2 good lanes without making one really dominant.
Yeah. Hey, now, you've ran some 305 races over there as well, haven't you?
Nope, I've actually only ever ran a 410 there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So let me tell you, is that track a little too big, you think?
Personally, yes, I think it is. I don't think it makes for the greatest racing, but I don't know. It was the same for everybody. So
yeah, no doubt.
Hey, Jake, I mean, you're really good on these big racetracks. Belleville, you won the 305 Nationals there for several years in a row, but you really take a liking to these big racetracks, don't you?
Yeah, and I think that comes from my quarter midget days where you just had to be super smooth with the steering wheel and, keep the car straight and underneath you. And I feel like I've gotten fairly decent at that in the sprint cars since I moved up.
Yeah. There was a good group of cars there last night. You had 20 cars last night. Did you expect more cars there last night?
Not really. Not with the border battle that's going on at Jackson, Huset's, and Knoxville.
Yeah.
I kind of expected more of the Knoxville guys to go that route. But there was 8 really, really good cars there last night for sure.
Right. Are you going to go to Huset's?
No, we plan to go to Knoxville tonight if the weather holds up.
Right.
But no, we're not planning on going to Houston either for the big pan show.
So yeah, there was a question whether you may take this act down to Lake Ozark Speedway tonight, but you're gonna go up to Knoxville and run.
Well, that's definitely our backup plan. We're just watching the weather real close. Neither of them actually look all that good right now, but we're keeping a close eye on it, and we'll make a decision once we get the car finished.
Yeah. I want to get back to what it feels like to outrun Brian Brown at I-70 Speedway, because I-70 Motorsports Park, I should say. I raced out there for years, and it was I-70 Speedway, so I'm just so used to saying that.
On the pavement, you raced.
On the pavement, yeah. So, but that had to be a thrilling victory for you last night, didn't it?
Yes, most definitely. Every time I come here, I think he's won, whether it's the All-Stars or the Outlaws. So to know that we could compete with him on a big racetrack, which is what he definitely excels at.
Yeah.
I think showed that we had a really good car, and I don't know, everything was working for us last night.
Yeah. You got some really good car owners as well, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. I've been driving for them for, I think this is my 4th year with them, and we've had some pretty good success together.
Yeah.
Oaks Racing we're talking about right now. And you made the you started out, you're really good in 305s. You worked your way up into 360, won some races there, but not many people have taken the graduated turn up from 305s, 360, and now to 410 the way you have, but you've done this a gradual way, haven't you?
Yeah, and I really think I spent too much time in the 305s, but I had an unbelievable car owner in Lubbock, Texas, Ben Allfield, that we had such a good time, and he had such nice equipment. It was definitely hard to step away from that.
Yeah.
But we ended up actually moving away from Lubbock about 2 years ago. My girlfriend got a good job opportunity in Lincoln, Nebraska, and that moved us there. And it really, we're a lot closer to most racetracks now, being a little more centrally located. So it was a very good move for us.
Jake, I've been saying this here lately. You know, I'm pretty loyal to ASC, as you know. I spent 13 years out there on the road with them. But I got to believe that 410 racing is making a little bit of a comeback. Would you agree with me on that?
I do, yes. I feel like, I don't know, back when I won my first ASCS race, there was, it was like Sam and Aaron Reitzel and Wayne Johnson, Seth Berg. I mean, it was a big group, and now all those guys have moved to 410 racing, and with the high limit and all stars and the cost of 360 motors now, I feel like it's more beneficial just to run a 410, and you can actually make a little bit more money back.
I think the real reason that things are so much better in 410 racing right now, I believe that, and this is just my theory, when they allowed the Ford motor to come in, it drove the cost up of the Chevrolet motors, and now the motors are about the same amount of money, right?
Yeah, they're definitely expensive.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Hey, I want to talk about that high limit race up there at Eagle. You went up there, you did really well. You started 15th, finished 8th in that race, got around that track pretty good that night.
Yeah, that's another track that I have a lot of laps at. And again, this year we got a new car thanks to Mark Rush. He's been a big supporter of mine, and he let me build a new car for these guys. We'd struggled really bad with the car that we'd been running, and we went to Wichita with it with Outlaws and ran decent, and then we took it to Eagle, and we really made some big strides, and it was definitely a good run, and I couldn't believe the crowd that was there. It was unreal. It was a really cool night.
Yeah. What are the plans for you this year? Are you just going to run an outlaw schedule and just run wherever you want to go?
Yeah, because I drive for 2 different car owners, so we usually try and split races 25 to 30 with each of them. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, those 2 got together kind of about Chili Bowl time and created a schedule and worked with each other, and that was really nice. So we just kind of go anywhere and everywhere and run wherever we can run at least 2 or 3 nights a week, throughout a weekend.
Talk about that other car you're driving.
Yeah, it's Patrick Burke and Heidi Burke. They're from Colorado. Patrick, I kind of grew up with them. He raced with my dad, and a couple years ago he got hurt pretty bad in a midget crash and is not allowed to race anymore because of his injuries. So he had me start driving for him, and he's got a couple midgets, a couple sprint cars, and we've also been pretty successful with that. We've had some really good runs at the Chili Bowl here the last 3 years. And then he's really stepped up his sprint car program. We've got some really good Dawn engines, and we won Monday night at Park Jefferson. an MSTS race, and we're starting to click really good too.
Yeah, no doubt. Do you prefer driving a midget over a 410 wing sprint car, or do you prefer the 410 wing sprint car over the midget?
That's a really tough question. I really like the midgets a lot. They're so fun to drive, but the competition level and what it takes to run a 410 and to do it well is it's definitely difficult, and I really like doing it too. So
yeah.
I couldn't choose. The midgets are a lot of fun.
Yeah. Where'd you finish at the Chili Bowl this year?
We were in we were running, I think, third in our prelim night, and I got upside down there with a couple laps to go.
Oh, yeah.
So I just didn't end all that well. But the year before, we finished, I think, 7th in the B on Saturday.
Yeah, but it's easy to get upside down at the Chili Bowl, isn't it?
Yeah, especially late in a feature like that when the cushion's all the way up against the wall, and it was just one little mistake that I made, and
yeah, it seems like in recent years that cushion at the Chili Bowl has been pretty gnarly, isn't it?
Yeah, yep. With the way they do the rework and everything, it starts out pretty fast around the bottom, and then it goes to the top, and then it blows the top off really fast and pretty much just goes to the wall. And growing up racing in Colorado and Kansas, you don't really get that. I spent a lot of time racing in rubber and really dusty, dry, dirty tracks. So we've been trying to go out and run a few midget races out in the Midwest and kind of simulate that same track condition. So I quit making that mistake.
Yeah. Are you going to run any 360 races this year?
Yeah. Yep. Quite a bit. We have 4th of July weekend. We'll go to Albion, Nebraska, and Waukegan, Kansas with ASCS. And then that following Monday, we're going to race at Belleville with the Nebraska 360.
If I remember,
360 Nationals.
If I remember right, you won on Sizzling Summer Speed Week down there in was it Amarillo or was it I can't remember where it was, but it was in Texas, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was in Lubbock, which was really cool because that's where the car owner lived at the time.
And you're not passing up a chance to run at Belleville at any time, right? You ran so well there in the past.
Yeah, it's hard to pass up racing that 305 race with how good it pays, but I'm looking forward to the opportunity to go to Knoxville with the 360 Civil Car. I think we have a good shot at making the main event there, but Belleville's been pretty good to me in the past.
So what do you think about them running on the little track instead of the big track? Are you in favor of that, or would you rather run on the big track?
If they ran on the big track with a midget, I would not go.
Oh, I got you.
Too dangerous or too costly?
I got to race at Dodge City. It's just too big to me, I think.
It's too fast.
But I've got to race the little track there, and it's actually really fun. It's good size, good shape for them.
Yeah.
Is midgets on that half mile at Belleville, is it because it's too fast, too dangerous, or because it's too costly?
Well, obviously, Brian Clausen.
I think all three.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, Jake, we appreciate you taking the time to join us here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. A lot of people are listening around this on this radio station, and we can't thank you enough for taking the time, getting up early. I know that you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning every day, right? Is that right?
It's actually, I get up at 5 every morning. I get to work at 6. But
you're the only race car driver in America that gets up after winning a race the night before at 5 o'clock the next morning.
Right.
Yeah, well, there's not too many race car drivers that work all week either.
Well, that's true.
That's true.
Jobs.
That's very true. All right, Jake, thanks so much for taking the time to join us here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, congratulations on the big win.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
All right, there you have it. Jake Buback joining us here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we are going to listen to an interview that we did with Garrett Williamson when we come back, and more right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB when we continue next right here.
Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodandsupply.com.
At Rye Restaurants, we celebrate Midwestern recipes, traditions, and culture using local Kansas and Missouri flavors and farmers. Rye showcases those heritage dishes that the Midwest is known for, such as succulent smoked pork chops, aged steaks, baby back ribs, fried chicken, farm fresh vegetables, Parker house rolls, seasonal pies, fruit cobblers, and ice cream sundaes, just to name a few. Rye has 2 locations in the metro, the original at Mission Farms in Leawood and Rye Plaza on the Country Club Plaza. Rye, your favorite comfort foods based on traditional Midwestern recipes.
What's up, DP family? The Pandemonium Tour 2023 tickets are on sale now. We are so excited about this brand new tour traveling all over the U.S. Brand new battles, unbelievable cool not cool items that will blow your mind, and tons more. Don't want to miss it. Get your tickets now at DudePerfect.com. Signing off for now. Pound it, noggin. See ya!
Dude Perfect Pandemonium Tour 2023. Live at T-Mobile Center in Kansas City, Thursday night, July 27th. Get tickets now at DudePerfect.com.
Icon is seeking healthy, non-smoking men and women ages 18 to 65 to participate in a clinical research study at our facility in Lenexa, Kansas. Volunteers must be available for one stay of 18 nights and 4 outpatient visits. Qualified participants may receive compensation up to $12,700 for time and travel. Call Icon today at 913-210-5900. That's 913-210-5900.
I'm going to hit the music at 8:54.
Hit music.
Every step of the journey.
10-4.
Because we believe the dreams we pursue together have the greatest impact. And with Sporting Checking and the official Sporting debit card, you can be the inspiration. Visit sportingchecking.com or stop by the nearest Central Bank branch to get started. Member FDIC.
When you want Chiefs, follow the leader. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Definitely would like to get another Super Bowl. Not the only thing, but, that's why we play the game.
I'm just excited for what we can do this year. Last year was great. Won a Super Bowl, but we got to do it all over again. So I'm excited about the new challenge.
You just got to live in the moment and appreciate what's at hand. And what's at hand is that we got another chance to go after another one.
Your home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Welcome back to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I'm Scott. He's Kirk. We're the Racing Boys. Todd Surprise helping us here at RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Don't forget, you can watch hour number 2 on our Facebook page, Twitter, and racingboys.com if you'd like to. And we've got a second hour coming up, don't we, Kirk?
We do. And Garrett Williamson had a great night at Knoxville last week.
He did.
After finishing on the podium, a third-place finish with the World of Outlaws, he wins the 360 feature at Knoxville. We had Garrett Williamson on our Mostly Motorsports show this past Monday, and here's a portion of that interview. Let's hear from Garrett Williamson.
Man, that had to be a thrilling victory for you on Saturday night, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a great Saturday all around. Picking up our first 360 win there, and then the podium with Outlaws was huge also.
Yeah,
man. Let's talk about that Outlaw race first. That is a big deal to go up there and finish third place in a World of Outlaw race. You got the Nationals coming up later on this year. That's got to give you a ton of juice heading forward, does it not?
yeah, it gives us big confidence boost, especially with big races coming up, and then to run well there with those guys in town, it's really big. We've kind of struggled there with the 410 the last few weeks. We've been searching for some more speed, trying some different stuff. But I think we just got off balance with our race car, and Saturday, after Friday night, we weren't really good at all, and Saturday, we kind of went back to what we did at the beginning of the year with the 410 there, and we were good then, and it kind of proved that we are good now with it. So I think we found a baseline to start off with again and have some stability in the race car and be fast.
Garrett, let me ask you this. What has turned your program around? Because, man, you've always been fast. You were fast in a 360. You were fast in a 410. What has made the difference in your team this year?
I think Dennis Moore Jr. is the answer to that. We got to work together a little bit at the end of the
Uh-oh. Sounds like we might have lost.
Right. It's just people just don't understand. It's all innocent. The phone interview is going to take fucking an hour.
I think we lost you there for a minute, Garrett.
Put him on hold real quick, and I'll get it.
Hold on a sec.
Hey.
Oh, he can't hear us.
Sorry, I cut out.
Can you hear?
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, definitely. Going to the Nationals after that run this weekend is big, knowing we found something, we hit on it, and I think we just build off that, and hopefully we'll be able to get some 24 back out with the 410 in it to build on that and get some more laps with it. But right now the 410 with the 24 new parts, unfortunately, we're just not doing well on motors right now. We're going to send the one we just ran this weekend back because she's tired and only have one left right now, and it has 8 nights on it. So I don't want to get in too big of a pickle and really be stuck at the end of the year not racing. So taking our battles with sucks right now, but it is what it is. We're not a huge budget team, so we just got to do what we can and plug it away.
And motors is the most important thing because you can have a motor problem, and then when you want to recycle a motor, you've got to have a motor in place to put in your car so when you send the other motor back, you can get it freshened up, and then when it's freshened up, you bring it back and you plug it into the car, right?
Yep, that's what we're trying to get our program to, just always having one in cycle and having a fresh one to go in. But it takes time, and with the 410 deal, there are a little less nights on them, and you just can't get the nights out of them you could in a 360. So we're slowly trying to build our 410 program to what our 360 was, and having really good equipment with that and having really strong motors.
You know, you dropped a little bit ago. When I asked you, what do you think is the number one reason that you've turned your team around? You started to mention some people that are helping you with your team. Go ahead and say that again.
Dennis Moore Jr., I think it's kind of what turned this program around. We got to work together at the end of the last year a little bit, and we clicked off 2 wins, and we went out to the World Finals, put it in the dash out there, and we were fast with Outlaws at Lakeside. And I think we're just now starting to get back in tune to what we were last year, and I think we're starting to get really fast, and I'm excited to see what the rest of the year brings, but no, I think we're going to get back into the rhythm we were and start getting really fast.
You know, DMJ is one of the great guys, man, and he's a little insane too. On top of it, right?
Yeah, he's a character for sure. I think everyone knows that. You don't talk to Dennis without having some kind of good story or anything like that. But yeah, he's a character. But I think we work really well, and we get each other's lingo, and he understands what I'm trying to say about the car. And I've just had a really good time working with him right now, and I think we click really well, and there's no hard feelings, and we can tell each other our feelings, and no one gets upset about it. So I think that's the big key to success, is be able to talk and figure out what you're trying to say and not hurt each other's feelings. And
right,
everyone's striving for the same thing and to win.
DMJ came very close to winning the 1500 Nationals. Remember that?
I don't remember seeing it, but I've heard the story about it multiple times.
Well, he's a 2-time 360 Knoxville Nationals winner.
Indeed he is, yeah, and I'm trying to get on that list with him. Hopefully we can do that this year. After this weekend, I feel like we've kind of not been where I wanted it with the 360. Obviously we've been fast, we've had good results up there, but just not where I think we needed to be. And Saturday night we were really good. And
3 minutes left in our interview. 3 minutes.
Something, I hope.
How thrilling was that when you were down there in on the podium with those two guys up there?
That was huge. You know, after the race, I rolled by Brown, and he was fist pumping. He was excited for me because he knows how much team and how much I talk. Brown does a lot for me and our team. I talk to him a lot about just trying to be a better race car driver and how to run our team better. And he does a lot. So I think it was cool to see him excited for me. And then David Gravel's one of the best in the game right now. So to run third to them guys is huge. And I know it's huge for our partners, Impact on signs and wraps. For me and Brown to be on the podium, they were up there in the suite. So that was really cool for them. And then pick up a win for Don Long in the 360. He does a lot for me, obviously, with the 360 program. And he does so much just for racing in general around the Knoxville area. And so that was huge. And we have a lot of great partners this year with Linville Repair, True Sun Interior and Exterior, Cone Corner, Snap Electric, Perry's Automotive, and
2 minutes.
Midmo Equipment, my car owner. That's his business. And obviously he gave me an opportunity that most kids would die for. And I'm just very thankful for what he's done for me. And
who gives you the most advice out of anybody that you lean on? Who's the one person that gives you the most advice?
I'd say I talk to obviously DMJ and Brown the most, so I talk to a lot.
Yeah.
How much of an impact was it that after the podium finish in the World of Outlaws that they ran the 360s last, that you were go out there finish off the night as the winner at the top of the podium?
Yeah, that was awesome. I didn't even know we were off the front row of it until we were doing we were on the podium with Outlaws. They were talking. Someone said, "Yeah, you start off the front row of this," and I was like, "Oh, geez, I guess got to go win this one now. After this run, we need to back that up." And what a better time to pick off our first win with the Outlaws in town and coming in off a strong run with those guys.
You didn't have much time to think about it because they hustled you right to the 360 car to get right out there and get after it with the 360. Not much time to think about it before the 360 started.
There wasn't. When we've been running double duty a lot this year, it's kind of been nice. You just don't have time to get in your head, think about stuff. So it was kind of nice to just hop in one car. I tell DMJ what I'm thinking. We're always on the track, so I can tell him what I think the track's doing, and it's worked out really well. And obviously, we're always
30 seconds.
Laps you can get around that place is great. So double the laps, and I think it helps a lot for us.
How hard is it to prepare two cars for one night?
It's a lot, and my guys, Anthony Miller and Corey, they bust their butts all night, and I know I can trust them, and there's no second thoughts, and I think that's huge that I can climb in both race cars, not worrying about nothing, and just go do what I'm supposed to do and do my job and drive the race car to the best of my ability, and they do an amazing job prepping awesome race cars for me.
All right, there you have it, Garrett Williamson. What a great finish for him up there with the World of Outlaws, a podium finish, Kirk. He wins the 360 race. Man, I think Garrett Williamson is going to be a good race car driver.
Oh, yeah. There's no question about it. Now, I see he set quick time out at I-70 last night.
Right.
But he finished, started third and finished eighth in the A-Main last night.
Yeah.
At I-70.
Yeah, not a good night for him last night.
But he had a fast race car, it looked like, at the beginning of the night.
Yeah.
We need to make a correction. The POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints are in action tonight. They are at Nevada Speedway tonight.
Just about 100 miles from here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
About 90 minutes. I haven't been to a race down there at Nevada for a while.
You know, it's been a long while since I've been down there. You know, that racetrack is right down there in Nevada, and the last time I think I was there is when we did that behind the wheels segment that we did with John Anderson.
That was a good one.
That was a good one.
We've got that up there on our video section somewhere.
Kirk, we're going to do a redesign on our website here pretty quick.
We are. We're going to relaunch newraceboys.com, and we're going to start bringing in new members for our video section. $6.50 a month is all you have to pay, and we've got our entire video collection will be up there.
Yeah,
so.
Everything that we've done over the years will be up there, right?
So it'll be good.
Yeah.
Late models are at Smoky Mountain Speedway this weekend. They ran double features last night down at the Smoky Mountain Speedway in preparation for tonight's big race. And the two winners were Chris Ferguson and Ricky Thornton Jr. Carson Ferguson and Jonathan Davenport, the top three in the first A main. Those three get locked into tonight's A main at Smoky Mountain. And in A feature number 2, it was Ricky Thornton Jr., Kyle Strickler, and Spencer Hughes.
Yep, no doubt about it.
So we'll be watching those guys tonight down in Tennessee.
Marie's going to go to Port Royal tonight.
That is the place to be.
That is the place to be.
Silver
sure.
Crown cars.
Yeah, no
and
doubt
by
about
the way,
it.
Silver Crown works great on the half mile at Belleville.
Right, no doubt.
And they'll be great at Port Royal tonight.
All right, thanks everybody for tuning in to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I want to thank Todd Surprise for helping us out, Kirk Elliott, my partner, and cannot wait to come back here next Saturday morning. It's been over 2 decades we've been doing this show, huh, Kirk?
Yeah.
23 years
Aren't
almost.
you going to be out on the road next week?
I'm going to be on the road next week. Yep, no doubt about it. Thanks for joining us here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll see you next week right here on Sports Radio 810. We'll see you next week.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial
Thanks for your help.
applications
Appreciate
with
it,
many
brother.
different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has
All right, man, we'll talk to you
superior
next
products
week.
priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Hey, Soren Petro here. When you need brilliant, sparkling diamonds, go see my...
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Spirit Specialty Sportswear in-house. We do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other add specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com. Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum, and our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, sprintcarstuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.
Hey everybody, this is Larry the Cable Guide. You are listening to RacingBoys.com, and if you're not, I swear to you, get in your truck or do something, but get the hell out of this country, because you don't belong in it if you don't listen to these fellas.
It's time for America's most unique motorsports show, Track Talk, brought to you by Rod End Supply and the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 8. We're not on Sports Radio 810 anymore. We're on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network, aren't we, Kirk?
But we'll be back on Sports Radio 810
We'll be
Saturday
back next Saturday morning.
As we are every Saturday morning.
How about...
Just not an hour, too.
How about that we've done this for 23 years, Kirk?
That's amazing. Time flies when you're having fun.
You know... People ask me, how does Kirk put up with me? How do you do that, Kirk? Do you just put up with me?
Well, it's a challenge, but we make it happen.
But listen, I'm not as hardcore off the air as I am on the air, am I?
No, you anger me some of the things you say on the air. We get along just fine off the air.
Yeah. That's why we've been together for 23 years.
It's some of the things you say while on the air that I get a little upset about.
What is one of the things that has bothered you that I've said on the air?
Well, a couple of weeks ago, you were over there at Lake Ozark Speedway, and you said, I hope it rains out. You know? No.
That made him mad, Scott.
It did.
Oh.
No. Don't say things like that.
You wasn't here, and he was mad.
Well,
or I don't want to lift this big case up on the roof.
He was mad about that too.
You know, it was cold up there last night.
He didn't want to hear about that.
Hey, listen, Kirk Elliott couldn't have stood.
Here we go.
He couldn't handle that cold weather up there that night. You couldn't have done it.
Yeah, but nobody cares. Nobody cares about you got cold up there.
I care. That's what the most important thing is, that I care about how cold I was. I was shivering up there.
Well, it won't be cold there
tonight.
It won't
be cold tonight, that's for sure.
They're racing at Lake Ozark tonight, and it looks good to get that show in. So let's talk about that.
Hey, no, let's talk about. I hate to bring this up.
Man, it's bad.
But
before you do that, hold on.
What?
Let me just a positive before we go out there.
All right.
Shadrick Turner is just kicking ass. Let me tell you something. That kid, all he does is win B-mod races, and I'm just going to call it modified racing. He's just a modified beast, and picked up another win last night. So, like I said,
at Lakeside Speedway.
Yes, sir. So, like I said, before we hit the bad, I want to throw a tiny bit of good in.
Get the good in.
All right, there you go. Now you're good.
So last night at Lakeside Speedway, they had four A-mods last night, Kirk.
Yeah, Tim Carrick won again. It's like his third win. 4 races.
But
is it a win?
Is it satisfying to beat
cars,
four cars?
It can't be.
3 cars. He only beat 3 cars last night, right?
Well, he did better in the A-main than he did the heat race, where he spun out in the heat race. Kerry Davis won the heat race last night. So, but 4 cars in the A-mod class at Lakeside Speedway, not a good look.
I'd have never thought we'd have gotten to this point on that when I first started working with you guys. You know,
Right. There was 30, 40 cars out there.
When I was going to Lakeside the 2 years before I worked with you guys, it was just packed with A-mods out there. And to see where we're at now, like you said, I understand it costs a whole lot of money now.
You know, the last time I run an A-mod out there at Lakeside Speedway, there was 40 cars out there. Can you believe it? We're down to 4 cars.
Well, you know, the A-mods are struggling not just at Lakeside,
everywhere.
but a lot of places. It's, you know, the way the costs have gone up to field these cars.
And the money to win, isn't that?
It is. It's very difficult for A-mod drivers to go and run weekly races at places.
I'm going to say this. It's because late model technology has worked its way into the modified ranks. Right?
Absolutely what's happened.
Yeah.
In another 10 years, I think we'll probably be more late models than...
I'm going to say this. In 10 years, A-mods will be extinct.
Yeah, I'm calling for just a modified class.
And when I say that because only USMTS is going to be profitable.
Yeah.
And those guys that race with the USMTS guys, they have money. Most of those people have money. Yeah. Those are not poverty-stricken people that are racing those A-mods.
Enclosed trailer.
In USMTS, right?
Enclosed trailer teams. Ones that we don't have any.
It's going to be a touring series.
Absolutely.
Do you believe, Kirk, in 10 years that A-mods will be nothing but touring cars? Would you?
Well, yeah, even before that. I mean, it's not going to take 10 years for that to happen.
Yeah,
it's happening now.
Yeah, it's already starting to happen.
And here's the situation with the A-mods. What I think they should do is create a regional series, much like what they have for the MLRA for late models.
Mm-hmm.
I think you would get a pretty good group of drivers if you scheduled a season of races somewhere within a couple hours of Kansas City and race them at different racetracks. So
that will not work.
Well, why not?
It won't work because people do not want to have to travel to race.
That's not what I'm saying.
You said within 2 hours of within 2 hours of Kansas City.
Well,
people will not pull 2 hours because their equipment. A lot of people that race can't afford to travel up and down the road.
So let's make it shorter. The point I'm trying to make is to create a touring series where guys don't have to travel that far to get to the races. They're working guys just like everybody else. So if you can, instead of trying to pull cars to Lakeside Speedway every Friday night or Lucas Oil or wherever, come up with a series that guys who want to run those cars can travel around to different racetracks, and the local promoters don't have to run them on a weekly basis. They can bring them in as a special event, and then they could run their B-mod class or whatever on a weekly basis.
People want to race at one racetrack. You know, when I was a kid, I went to Lakeside on Friday nights, and I went to Riverside on Saturday nights. And people don't want to travel a long ways to race cars because they can't afford it. They just simply can't afford to travel within. A lot of people, their rigs can't travel that far.
Well, why not? Okay, let's shorten that up. 2 hours. Let's do away with that. Let's have a series where guys can go to CMS 1 week, go to Lakeside another week, go to I-35, go to Lucas Oil.
You know,
they're all within distances where guys can travel to.
The problem with
on
that
a weekly
is
basis.
The problem with that is, Kirk, is that the promoters will not allow that to happen.
Why not? How's this working for Lakeside now? Getting 4 cars on a weekly basis.
No,
that's not working.
I'm just telling you.
CMS already dropped. The CMS was the track that had
the Mighty
Modified. They dropped the class.
Right.
So that didn't work.
Right.
And the car counts at all these racetracks aren't good.
Lloyd just said, he just chimed in. He says, when you got $70,000 in a B mod, that won't last long either.
Right. Yeah, I was about ready to say that, too. The B mod class has gotten out of hand.
Listen, what they need to do, in my eyes, what they should do is they should start a class like the B mods and just run crate motors in them. Just run the crate
What
motors.
rules do they have in the E-mod class? They got that now. The E-mod class at Lakeside Speedway.
I don't know.
What are the rules for that? It's not a crate engine, but it's but we've started all these entry-level classes, and they've all gone the way of becoming too costly.
Right.
And frankly, racing in general is becoming too costly for a lot of people.
Right, yeah.
Car counts are down everywhere. We don't see as many car counts in all these entry-level classes as we did even 10 years ago.
Last night, Kirk, I hate to say this, but there was only about probably 1,000, 1,200 people in the grandstands at I-70 Speedway.
Well, that seats 8,000 people at
No,
I-70
they're
Speedway.
big, giant grandstands.
8,000 seats at
that's a big
I-70.
That's a lot of
so
people.
that's a big grandstand.
Yeah.
So when only a few show up.
Now, Lakeside had a good crowd last night. I thought it was a good turnout of folks at Lakeside Speedway.
Right.
I know a lot of my friends were out there last night from Piper area. There was a bunch of people out there. Said there was a lot.
It was a good crowd at Lakeside.
Yep. We drove by it. Me and my wife did on the way home from the baseball game. And
let me tell you what hurt him last night. When I was driving out to I-70 Speedway, about the time I got to Blue Springs, it was backed up bumper to bumper.
Yeah.
Well, they have construction.
They had construction going on out there about Adams County.
That's a killer.
Parkway.
That is a
and
killer.
let me tell you something. If I would have been
promoting that,
if I would have been promoting that race, I'm telling you right now that a lot of people turned around and went back home.
How long did it take you to get out there? You living up here in Gladstone? How long did it take you to get to the racetrack?
It took me probably 45 minutes to an hour to get through that traffic jam.
And how long is the trip if the traffic is smooth going?
45 minutes.
45 minutes, and you got there in what?
I got there right at 7:30.
And you left home at what time?
So you had almost an extra 30 minutes almost.
No, it was a good 45
extra
minutes. Extra.
So it took you an hour and a half to get out there.
Right.
Well, a lot of people are going to turn around and go back home.
They don't want to deal with the traffic.
And
let me tell you something. I got off at Adams County Parkway, and I went up to the first stoplight, and I turned left, and I ran through a neighborhood and worked my way down. And then when I turned right to get back onto 40 Highway, I right there by Trailside RV, I turned right to get back onto 40 Highway, and it was backed up because of the stoplight down in Green Valley.
That is a killer.
In fact, when I got off the highway, I looked up, and the traffic was clear on the highway.
Well, running races.
I made the wrong call. That's what I did.
Running races on a Friday night at I-70 Speedway, that is a tough thing, I believe, because of the rush hour traffic, people going home that way toward Blue Springs. It's going to be backed up anyway, even when the roads are clear, to get to I-70 on a Friday night. But at Lakeside Speedway, a track that used to running races on a Friday night, you know what that's going to take to get to Lakeside Speedway. So the better crowd was at Lakeside because it's a Friday night racetrack. I-70, as you pointed out, some people are going to turn around and go home if they get locked into traffic.
The ideal night would be Saturday night.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why I-70 had a history of running on Saturday night.
It always ran on Saturday night.
Now, the next event, they got the MLRA late models on Saturday, July 1st out there. They ought to draw pretty well for that.
Let me tell you, I almost turned around and went back last night.
And if you didn't do it,
but
there were people who did.
I stayed with it. I stayed with it and just went and did the thing, and it was good to have Jake Boo back on.
But you think that might have affected their crowd last night?
Yeah, no doubt. I think it did.
Yeah.
I think that there was a lot of people that give up on that traffic jam, to be honest with you.
I think the only way you run on a Friday night at I-70 Motorsports Park is if you have a major big-time signature event that you need multiple nights to run it, is the only time I would ever run an event on Friday night at I-70.
I don't agree with that, Kirk. To be honest with you, 2-day shows are losers.
Well, I was saying, unless you have a big-time signature event with a ton of money on the line and a lot of cars, and you got to run multiple nights in order to get the show in. That was the caveat that I was saying about that.
But if you run multiple nights, the first night, the second night, those are losers for the most part.
The only exception to that is if you have a Knoxville Nationals type event,
well, no,
or something of that magnitude, and that's what I'm talking about.
I get what you're saying.
That's what I'm talking about.
But if you were just going to have a 3-day show,
just to have a 3-day show, I agree with you on that. There's no reason to have multiple nights unless you have a big amount of cars and you can't get it all into one night. That's the only reason to run multiple day shows at any kind. But as a rule, with some of the events that they've got scheduled at I-70, run them on a Saturday night. That's the best night to run it at I-70.
Right. Steven says, you and I were in the same traffic jam, Scott. I didn't want to bag on I-70. I grew up at that track and love it, but it was not a good show last night. Let me tell you something about the OCRS cars that had to run after the 410s. That track was severely rubbered up by that time.
You think the fact that they ran 2 sprint car classes that added to the rubber? Because when I was out there for the non-wing show back on April 29th, it did not take rubber. It was a good show, and they had 2 sprint car classes. They had a 305 class with a good number of cars there and a non-wing class, but it didn't take on rubber that night. Of course, the weather was such that, it was cooler that night. The wind was blowing, but it was not even close to taking rubber that night.
Right. Let me just say this, that the track was blowing a lot of dust last night. I had to come home and take a shower, just to be honest with you. My bald head, I felt like I had a zit coming up on my forehead after I left that race last night.
Dust is never good.
It's never.
Did you watch on the back straightaway?
I did.
Was the wind coming out of the north?
No,
we didn't even have any wind last night.
I always sit on the back straightaway.
There was no wind last night,
and it was hot.
I never go up to the grandstand,
and that dust just hung in the air.
And it just
I went out there
floated
that night in April. The wind kicked up, and it was a beautiful day that day. I spent time down at the draft that afternoon. It was a beautiful day. It's shirt sleeves. I go out to I-70 that night, and this big windstorm comes hopping up, blowing 40 mile an hour out of the north, and I was on the back straightaway that night, and the dust and everything was coming by. I said, I got to go to the north side. I got to go to the grandstand side because you can't watch it from back here.
Alan Miller says I-70 would cause a lot of local tracks problems. My opinion only, running sprint cars at how many tracks this weekend? Lake Ozark, Humboldt, Lakeside, I-35, and CMS. Hold on.
CMS is not running sprint cars.
They're not running sprint cars tonight because Earl said they're running non-wing sprint cars up at I-35 tonight, and they canceled right?
Or they postponed it. They're working on a later date.
Was it supposed to be Power Eye War cars down there?
Power Eye War cars were supposed to be at CMS,
right?
While the MWRA sprints were at I-35. Now, you're not going to get good car counts at either of those two places,
right?
If that were the case. So, rightly so, they postponed the event at CMS.
Earl's not a dummy.
I'm not. Did they even know that they were running an event at I-35 when they scheduled that POWRi event?
Earl's a pretty smart man. He realized that he wasn't going to get any cars down there, and he canceled that.
Well, that was good. That it was like this just a few days ago when they postponed that event. So either they didn't know that other event was going on at I-35 Speedway, or it was just poor planning. I do know this. The MWRA event at I-35 was on the schedule before POWRi War put that on the CMS schedule.
Oh, really?
So, but there's a lot of choices. Tonight you got 410 sprints at Lake Ozark. Knoxville, if they run. The ASCS cars, after running in Humboldt last night, are at 81 Speedway.
I wouldn't mind going down to the lake tonight.
81 Speedway will be a good show.
Yeah, it'd be a good show. But, Kirk, I'm kind of growing into a 410 guy. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah. The pushback on 410s it's really happening right now.
I would drive to Knoxville if I knew it wasn't going to rain out. I'm not sure what the weather's going to do up there.
I could take the RV up there tonight.
Yeah, but you're ready to head out on the road with it here next week.
I'm going to PA, Kirk.
Williams Grove Speedway. It starts Friday night.
Listen,
PA's sprint week.
To be honest with you, I'm struggling with not going to Huset's.
You know where I'm going? Well, you know where I'm going to be next Saturday night.
Well, I'm telling you that I wouldn't mind going to Huset's this weekend.
That's next weekend.
Next week.
I'll be there.
It's starting on Wednesday, right?
Wednesday through Saturday.
I'm telling you, man, it is so hard for me to go to PA.
$250,000 to win next Saturday night.
Yeah, no doubt. What do you want to do here, Todd?
You want to run that Garrett interview?
We already did.
I mean the
Chase Rodman.
Chase Rodman is what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah,
Chase is not at the World of Outlaws race at Beaver Dam this weekend.
He's in
Mexico,
New Mexico.
In Mexico,
Mexico.
Not new, in real Mexico.
He's in Mexico,
and we're going to try to.
That guy needs a break.
He does.
Yeah,
and we're gonna. And let me tell you something. I bet he stands out like a sore thumb down in Mexico.
Oh, yeah, because he's so tall.
He's like 6'10",
yeah.
And, you could probably see him all over. So we're going to try to attempt to call him on Monday and reach him
We'll see if it all works out.
That's right. He said between his tequila shots, we're going to try to get a little word in with him. But, yeah, we had him on the show last Monday.
Hannah did a pretty good job filling in for him last night and tonight up there, Beaver Dam Speedway. So
she's pretty good.
Yeah, but anyway, Chase Rodman was right down there in the middle of it in Knoxville last week. That horrifying incident involving Carson Macedo. Thank God he's back in a race car. Ran last night up at Beaver Dam, but Chase Rodman was a witness to all of what went on up there. And we had him on, as we always do, on Monday, mostly motorsports. Here is a portion of the most recent conversation with the World of Outlaws pit reporter, Chase Rodman.
Did you hear of anything breaking on the right front of that car?
I did not. They hadn't really gotten to a point where they were able to, I feel like, look at the car. I feel like just kind of more the focus was on, Carson himself and if he was okay. But after watching it, I watched it happen live, obviously, and I watched a couple of replays. And, that wreck, I was telling somebody yesterday, it reminded me a lot of Jake Newman's wreck from Lakeside with High Limit. It just, went in the corner and just turned dead right.
Right.
And that's what, as soon as I saw it, I was like, wow, that reminded me a lot of Jake's crash from a few weeks ago.
Carson Macedo, he had a fast race car. When this happened, he had passed Brian Brown. He was chasing down David Gravel.
Yeah.
He might have had a shot to win that race. He had a fast car.
He did have a fast car.
Yeah, I think he was like right when that wreck happened, he had like kind of, if I remember right, he kind of slid from the bottom to the top, and then like right when he did that, he was like maybe 2 or 3 car lengths behind Dave and was catching him in traffic. So he definitely had a car that could win, and it's just it's crazy to think that this is now 2 years in a row where some crazy thing has happened that's taken Carson out of the points lead. You know, remember last year at the Grove when he ran second, was going to have a huge lead on Brad, and then he got disqualified for being light at the scales, and now this year, this big wreck, and it takes him out of it again, you know. So just can't seem to catch a break, really.
Let me ask you about the Hunter Schoenberg move to Buddy Kofoid. What'd you think about that?
Well, you know, like everybody's talking about on Twitter and stuff, it didn't really seem like a, you know, they always say a mutual, agreed to mutually part ways or whatever, but it doesn't seem like it from everything that I've read with the, you know, him buying all those new T-shirts and everything like that. I don't think it was very mutual at all. I don't know what, you know, happened behind the scenes or whatever, but it took a while for that car to be as competitive as it is now, and I think it was all thanks to Hunter, right, and Clinton Boyles, right? He helped out a lot, but Hunter was kind of the main deal behind it. He made that team competitive, you know, on the Outlaw or on the All-Star Tour and getting them wins and being right there in the top 3 in the points. And it just sucks to see Hunter put in all that work into that car and then this happens.
Yeah.
You know, but I think he'll be all right. I think that he's going to be able to go somewhere. I don't know what car he's going to be running. The rumor is, you know, Bernie's 71. And that kind of seems to be like, you know, what they're saying, the buffer car, right? You lose your ride.
Right.
You go there. You run good, you wait for another car to open up, and then you go there. We've seen that quite a bit over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So not sure. I haven't heard anything yet, but I'm sure Hunter will get something going here soon.
And Corey Eliason to the 11 car. Did you see that coming?
Yeah, I feel like that he was kind of, well, I mean, he was in the buffer car, right? He was in the Bernie's car, and there was a couple of guys that you could have thought of that maybe would go to the 11, and he was definitely on that list, probably at the top of that list, really. No, I wasn't surprised at all. And Corey's been good. It took him a race or two to get going. He's won, I think, an all-star race, maybe 2 of them now, and ran pretty decent with us this weekend in Knoxville. So, yeah, I think we'll see him run pretty well here coming up. And that car last year was really good at Houston. That's where Buddy got his first win with them at Houston last year. So that'll be a good weekend for the 11 team. So Corey, I think he fits right in really well with those guys.
It was kind of a strange night at Knoxville because he kind of in a hurry up mode, had to kind of redo the order of events in order to get things through, and there was a lot of rain around. There was even a question whether to even push off for the A main. You got it in, but it was just kind of a hurry up, different mood, trying to get that show in up there at Knoxville on Saturday night.
Yeah, it was go, go, go all night long. You know, I usually we have those situations, you know, relatively often, and it's one of those nights where I don't get to do much talking on the mic. I mean, I did the opening ceremonies, I did the thing right before the feature, and that was it. We didn't have a dash draw, we didn't have heat interviews, but yeah, it went by really quick. And you know, I wanted to mention this on the show because I feel like he didn't get enough credit for what he did the other night. A guy from your guys' area, you know, Garrett Williamson, what a great night for him.
What a great run.
360 win and a podium finish with the Outlaws. I mean, that was Knoxville's not the place I was expecting to see him get his first podium, but man, was it a great night for him, and so cool to see that happen.
Yeah, we got him on the show a little bit later on here.
He's going to be on with us here in just a little bit. So,
hey,
to get a podium finish with the World of Outlaws, man, that is something to hang your hat on.
Oh, absolutely, and you know it's good for him too because you know he the first part of the year, like I feel like he made a dash or two with us, and he was having good runs in the heats, but then it's just like every time in the feature, man, that it would just break. He'd have some kind of mechanical problem and just could never finish the race. But finally, they got everything sorted out. I don't know if it was a motor problem or what it was, but they've got it figured out. That car's not breaking anymore. And, he after this weekend, there's going to be a lot of eyes on him when it comes to the Knoxville Nationals. I'm not saying to win, but maybe one of those guys that could, maybe be one of those guys that sneaks into the feature or barely misses out on it, or even the 360 Nationals, getting that win this weekend. And he was good. He beat Aaron Reitzel, and Reitzel's been dominant there this year in the 360. So I see a lot of good things on the horizon for Garrett Williamson coming up here.
Before we let you go, I want to talk to you about Brian Brown's domination of Friday night. He just stomped him. He was 4.6 seconds out in the lead. He kind of stomped on him a little bit, didn't he? Yeah,
he did. It's just a good weekend overall, first and second. And, he didn't let David get too far away in that second race on Saturday. So, but, now the question is, can he get it done in August, right? I mean, he won this race last year, and then in August he wasn't really a factor for the win. But maybe this is the year, and that's kind of what everybody's mind is thinking.
If I remember right, Brian Brown had a terrible qualifying effort in his qualifying night. He got in the soupy stuff down on the bottom of the racetrack and had a bad time trial.
Mm-hmm.
That put him behind for the rest of the week.
Yeah, and it's with that format, man, you can't afford to have a bad qualifying lap. I would say that qualifying is probably the most important part of the Knoxville National. What Tasker Phillips last year, he qualified quick time. I don't remember what he did in his heat race, but he was still able to make the big show on Saturday. Even if he didn't go from 8th to 4th or whatever in his heat race. I don't know what he ran, but I know he didn't do anything crazy. But just qualifying quick time alone is huge.
And look what that did for Carson McCarl. He had a great time trial and put himself on the pole for the A main.
Yeah.
Or Austin McCarl. McCarl.
Oh yeah, Austin. Yeah, and that alone is probably one of the biggest accomplishments of Austin's career, and probably will be for a long time until he gets an outlaw win. And then he was on the pole again on Friday night. I feel like those guys are kind of underrated right now, that 88 team. They were fast at some high-limit races. They won an IRA show this year and ran really good both nights with us.
Austin McCarl will get a World of Outlaw win.
I think it could happen at Houston that week. He was good there. His best ever finish with us was the second there. Maybe it'll happen at Houston.
How about Riley Goodnow last night at Houston's?
Man, I didn't get to watch it, but I got a bunch of text messages saying it was a great race between him and Matt Jewell or something.
Yeah.
And then I saw that Corey Day and Ayrton Jennison were the podium. But, yeah, that was a huge deal for Riley because, he ran, third or second there with us last year for his best ever outlaw finish, and now he gets a win there. A big confidence booster for him because I feel like he's not really had the best year so far. I don't think he made any of the shows with us this weekend. He's been kind of struggling a little bit, but a huge win. That's good for him. And, it's a cool thing for, as far as the confidence goes. We saw Noah Gass, the guy that needs some confidence. He went over there to Houston a few weeks ago, finished second. So I like Houston because I feel like it's kind of it's almost like an equalizer for the guys that, don't have the most incredible equipment as far as like maybe a 41 or a 2 or 49 team. They can go there and be competitive. So cool. I like Houston. They got a good program going over there, and Todd Queering's doing a great job with that track. And
no doubt.
And it's going to be he's telling me this weekend that they've got the whole place sold out for Saturday of that Houston's race, and like all 3 prelim nights are like going to be close to sold out.
Wow, that's going to be big.
Is that this Saturday?
A week from Saturday. $250,000 to win on Saturday night, June 24th.
There you have it. Chase Rodman joining us here on Mostly Motorsports. You can listen to Mostly Motorsports on Mondays at 12 noon Central Time right here on our Facebook page, Twitter, and racingboys.com. And Chase is a weekly guest with us, as well as Trenton Berry, right?
Yep. That was it.
We miss Chase on the air this weekend, but Hannah Newhouse is filling in for him while Chase, was he on vacation down in Mexico?
That's what he said.
Well, why wouldn't he be?
There's no racing in Mexico,
No racing,
right?
just vacation.
No racing.
That was episode.
All there is sun down.
But he said he could join us from Mexico on Monday still.
Yeah.
That's what he said. The phone works. He said it
no
should
doubt
work.
about it.
So that was episode 267. You can watch that anywhere you pick up your or listen
favorite
to that.
podcast.
That's right.
Yeah.
So like I said, we had Garrett, Chase, and Trenton all on, and we're gonna have a little interview with Trenton here at the end of the show. But
right,
that was a really good show, and that was
Kirk.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say they had 410 sprint cars at Jackson last night. Mark Dobmeyer winning the feature over Lachlan McHugh, Kerry Madsen third, Tim Kading fourth, and Austin McCarl rounded out the top 5. I didn't know they ran 410s at Jackson other than the Jackson Nationals in August, but they had them up there last night.
Right. Kirk, you've got some sound from Wyatt Burks, don't you?
Yes. Wyatt Burks last night wins the A-Main in the USAC Midwest Wingless Racing Association Sprint Cars. Checked out, won in a big way last night, and talked to him after his win at Lakeside Speedway last night.
Yeah, we tightened it up a little bit after the heat race. I was a little loose in the heat race. I was struggling coming off turn 2, but other than that, not much changed. So.
Did you go into it thinking the high side was going to be the way to go?
Yeah, down there wasn't much on the bottom, but there wasn't much on the top either. The beginning of that feature, I kind of rolled the bottom down there to see if I could make it work, and Dakota was kind of pulling me a little bit at the beginning of that, so I decided to go up there and ended up catching him. The bottom was better in 3 and 4, and I don't think he knew about that yet.
Yeah, it wasn't easy to get around Dakota, but once you got past him, you checked out.
Yeah, like I said, I was kind of just messing around, seeing what I could figure out. But it was cool for Wholesale Battery, us to finish first and second. It's awesome for Dakota. It was his first podium, and he's really improved. He's a good kid, and he's going to get a win eventually.
No yellow flags. I think when you get up to about the 6th place car there.
Yeah, they said 4th or something, so I don't know for sure. But yeah, it was fun, and it was. I don't know, going to run Knoxville a few weeks ago, even though we didn't run very good, makes our speed so much better when we come to these places just because they make you run so much harder.
So you learned a lot by going to Knoxville?
For sure, definitely. Every time we go run against the USAC National Tour, I think it makes me a better driver. It makes me focus more on my driving and try not to make as many mistakes because them guys never do, and that's why they're the best in the business.
Much different racetrack at I-35 Speedway. How do you see things up there on Saturday night?
I think it'll be pretty good. Hopefully it don't lay rubber like it normally does, but I think keep some moisture in it. I think it'll be fun.
We're just kind of really getting into the meat of the season here. How do you see the rest of the year and where you stand right now?
Yeah, we're going to run the rest of the whole MWRA deal for the points championship. I think we might be close to getting the points lead after tonight, but we'll do that, and I think we're going to venture out to Kokomo for SmackDown and to Hockett and all that, so it's going to get busy and it's going to be fun, and hopefully we can keep picking off wins.
Do you ever go into the season to try to win a championship, or does circumstances play it out that you're in a position, now why not go for it?
It's kind of just play it by ear, like you just said, go out and see where we are at the beginning of the year, and if we're in the title hunt, we'll go for it. If not, we'll go do whatever we want to do, but we're going to keep running for it.
How much of these cars changed over the last couple of years? A lot of technology?
Yeah, I think the shock package has changed a bunch. That was our biggest problem. We were really good in 2020, and then we tried some stuff in 2021, and it got us in left field majorly. And now I feel like we're back close to what we were in 2020. So I'm looking forward to this year. We picked up win number 4 tonight, so hopefully we can keep racking them off this year.
Yeah, I remember earlier this year he won at I-70 Speedway. Right. So he is the odds-on favorite to win the championship this year, I believe. Wyatt Burke's getting it down at Lakeside.
So you're picking him to win the championship, right?
Yeah, I think so. If you base it on his performance so far, as he pointed out, he's got 4 feature victories this year. And night in and night out, of the guys that are running full-time in this series, he seems to be the most consistent.
Right. Whit Gastineau picked up the win last night at I-70 Speedway with the OCRS cars.
Yeah, I mean, he did double duty last night too.
Yeah.
So,
know, I felt bad for the OCRS guys because they had to go out on a rubbered up racetrack.
Did they race after the 410?
They did. Yes, they did.
Yeah, that makes it pretty hard.
Yeah,
they had a good race down at Lake Lucas Oil Speedway on Thursday night down there. Did you see that race?
No. At Lucas Oil Speedway?
Yeah, they had a special Thursday night race down there the other night.
Did you watch it?
I did see that, and they were. I was pulling up
Thursday night. I was at Government Mule, Kurt. I didn't watch it
down there.
I didn't watch. Yeah, I had a really good time down there. To be honest with you, we had something to eat right before we went in. And I don't know what it is about draft beer, but draft beer makes my stomach upset.
Boy, don't drink it.
Don't
drink draft beer.
I'm just telling you, it made my stomach upset down there.
Well, that's no good.
Oh,
so
no.
you had to leave the concert early.
No.
You didn't really get to enjoy the concert.
We enjoyed the concert.
Yeah. But
Listen, Government Mule is Warren Hayes. And Warren Hayes used to play for the Allman Brothers. He was one of the guitar players.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. That guy is a terrific guitar player. Todd, you know a little bit about playing guitar. Warren Hayes is a pretty good guitar player, isn't he?
Yeah, he's no slouch.
Yeah,
and,
no doubt.
and like you said, he's showing some age, so it's for him to be out there jamming like that still. That's
Man,
pretty cool.
he's up there in the years.
He is.
Yeah,
Yep.
no doubt about it.
I heard an interview with him on a local radio station here in town, and it was a really good interview. He got a brand new album. It just came out the day after your show.
Yeah.
So
they didn't have the CD.
they didn't have it?
They didn't have it down there.
That's strange.
Well, why not?
I don't know.
That doesn't make
I mean,
sense.
if you're going to appear
Doesn't
in
make any
concert, let's
sense,
get
does
the
it?
records out there.
I understand it's going out the next day, but Kansas City's not going to affect the market to where you leak songs out on the internet.
Right.
To just release it and sell those
Put
tickets.
it out.
Because I don't know, maybe he has a better record deal than a lot of guys. Maybe he makes enough money just touring and not selling records that he's not worried about the record part of
Right.
it. But boy, that doesn't sound
That
sound like a marketing ply to me. Boy, I'd be talking to my marketing managers about that.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Before I forget it, I'll tell you about my concert experience on Thursday night.
You went to Pam Tillis,
I
didn't
did. But before I get too far down the road, Reese Moran was the winner at Lucas Oil Speedway on Thursday night in the Oil Capital Racing Series. I thought it was a pretty good race. They had a pretty good car count down there the other night. He's a young guy. So congratulations to Reese Moran, who wins at Lucas Oil Speedway. They're going to be down at Lake Ozark Speedway tonight.
Right.
With the Power Eye 410 sprints.
And ASCS is going to be at 81 tonight, right?
That's right.
Right.
That is going to be a good show.
Yeah.
The way they prep that racetrack down to 81 Speedway for all the events down there.
It's been
and hats off to John Allen, all the other folks down there at 81 Speedway. I expect a really good show down there at 81.
Yep, no doubt about it.
I think it's going to
So
be
do we want to run this Trenton?
Well,
Let him go ahead and talk about his concert, and then we can.
I went to see Pam Tillis.
Yeah.
She's she made a lot of hit records. She's the daughter of the legendary Mel Tillis. And she was at Knuckleheads. You turned me on to Knuckleheads down there.
Yeah.
And she put on a good show.
It was an outdoor concert, wasn't it?
It was an outdoor concert. It was an acoustic set. It was just her and two other gals. One playing the keyboard, did a great job, and a
fiddle player.
That was it.
That was it.
But she sounded great and had a lot of hit records back in the day. And
well, you know why that is, Todd. They can't afford to take a big band out on the tour, right?
She had a big white bus parked out back.
Yeah,
that
probably
was it.
everything she had in it too.
So they could put all the instruments and everything in that bus and head on down the road.
Boy, I tell you what, the fire in downtown Kansas City, that was less than a mile from Knuckleheads. That fire.
That was a big-ass fire.
The biggest
fire.
It was a pallet company and a recycling company.
Thursday night?
Yeah, the night of your concert. And
I didn't notice any
Well,
smoke
Knuckleheads
or
came out and posted and said, "Look, we know the fire is less than a mile from our property, but they did a great job, and we
I
have
didn't
no."
even know that. I didn't even notice any smoke or.
Oh, my gosh!
It was a giant blaze.
So you
wasn't it?
could see the flame. You could see the fire, the smoke all the way to Piper, where I was in Piper, and not just
what
like
time was that?
Noon.
Around noon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 11 o'clock.
Apparently, they had it all doused out by the time I drove down.
6 alarm fire, 2 firemen hurt, a lot of smoke inhalation. And
That
stuff.
wasn't at Batten Liner Paper Company, was
No, it was pallet company off of down in the basically right by Knuckleheads. There's just a mile down the road.
Wow.
And it was severe. Like,
Man, that was a big ass.
it was
smoke.
big. People, like you said, there was a lot of people who were concerned that were, thought maybe it might be a plane down, because that's how big there was that
Right.
much black smoke. And the thing that I noticed, I was taking my father-in-law to a doctor's appointment. I said, "Look, there's 2 different colors smoke. That means there's water being put on it, because that's what the firemen were talking about. Is once you see the black smoke is what's burning, you see the gray-white smoke. That's the water hitting the fire and changing the color of that smoke. So I knew that they had been getting water on it, but 6 alarm fire is not.
And some firemen got hurt, too,
Yeah,
didn't
had
they?
a couple.
That's a big one.
It's a big
Yeah.
one. Like I said, a couple of smoke inhalations and a couple. Nobody got killed. Let's just say that.
Right.
That's good. And they did a wonderful job of getting that thing under control. Because, like Kirk said, he had no idea it even happened.
Didn't know there was ever
Imagine
a,
a bunch of pallets on fire.
And the recycling next to it. So the pallets just went up It was crazy.
That Knuckleheads is a cool place to go watch.
It is.
There's going to be some really good shows this month, too.
You've been down there a lot.
I'm going to Rival Sons tonight.
Yep. Be a
At
good
the Uptown Theater.
Uptown Theater.
Get out there early and watch the opening acts, and a lot of my friends will be there tonight.
Is it sold out?
I don't think so. It's probably close, but it isn't. I'm sure you can still get in up above and general admission. I'm sure they get you.
Somebody asked me if they played Sunshine, and yes, they did, Cole. They played Sunshine for Soulshine. Yeah, Soulshine.
You mean on Thursday night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we stay. You know, Warren Hayes takes a break right in the middle of the show.
Yeah.
Because they play for 3 hours.
Yeah. Well, people don't.
Because he jams.
Well, they're a jam band.
Yeah.
I was never a jam band kind of guy just because it's just, gosh, it just keeps going on and on and on.
Well, it's kind of like that Marcus King we saw that night. He just kind of
jammed out.
Yeah.
Didn't he?
Yeah.
And, you know, like you said, the Grateful Dead was a type of a jam band that I never got into. But the Allman Brothers, when they would go on their extended jam, I could.
They could play forever.
Yeah, and
you didn't get tired.
No,
of it.
and I could definitely see why Warren Hayes incorporates a break in the middle of his show because it's taxing.
Pioneer Pallet was
that was what it was. That's exactly it.
Hey, I saw the schedule of upcoming events this year in Kansas City. In November, Joe Bonamassa is coming back to town.
I just saw that.
That will not be a cheap ticket.
No, he just purchased another high-priced guitar. You know, Joe Bonamassa owns all the guitars in the world. You know that, right?
Right.
And he just bought another collector's item that was
like a 56, wasn't it?
Yeah, a 56 Tele. One of the original Telecasters that you know they're only worth about
I saw that.
a couple $100,000. And
I'll tell you.
Well, when you got his kind of money, you can do that.
He is worth paying a few extra dollars to see.
I told Kirk Elliott,
go see him.
I said, Kirk, if you want to see a good show tonight, go down and watch Joe Bonamassa. And you sit like fourth row, didn't you?
Yeah, right
probably
up front.
Probably
because he buys a single ticket.
And like I used to too, you can just roll into a lot of places and get you a good ticket. And those are the experiences you never forget. Like you said, Kirk will remember that little concert forever.
Oh, he was unbelievable. He was just. I mean,
he's a fantastic guitar player.
One of the great talents I've ever seen.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's get into the Trenton Berry interview right now.
He's up at Cedar
Kirk?
Lake Speedway this weekend for the Masters. They've already run 2 nights of racing up there. Carlos Amata Jr. won on Thursday night. Last night, Cade Carter winning in a thriller. Great race up at Cedar Lake Speedway. They're going to wrap it all up tonight. They got the late models running up there too. And it's on RacinDirt.com if you want to go check it out. Trenton Berry joins us on Mostly Motorsports every Monday. And here's a little bit of the conversation we had this past Monday.
Man, I think as far as A-mains go for B-Mod, I think that's probably the best B-Mod A-main I've ever watched.
Yeah, talk about it. Colby Fett picking up the $10,000. How about that?
So it was awesome. They ran 46 laps, caution-free. They ran a 50-lap race. So they had a yellow with 4 to go. I don't remember. I think somebody pulled up in one of the turns. It wasn't anything. Nothing memorable happened. So they had 4 laps to go, and Chris Jackson was rolling up through the field there. And Chris actually led at the white flag, but it was just by a half a nose maybe. He didn't firmly have the spot. It was certainly contested. He just beat Fett back to the line for the white flag, and he just gassed it up in the final lap, and they swapped lines going down into 3. It was a pretty veteran move by Fett. Anybody would have done it trying to win the race. It was clean. It was pretty wild, to be honest. I didn't really know how hard they would race, on the final lap and what they were capable of doing, honestly. And it was great. It was a great race. Absolutely outstanding A-main. They did a good job through the week as well. Through their heat races, they ran a couple sets of heat races the first night. The last chance races, they did not. All that stereotype that hey, these B mods are just a caution fest, and you know, sometimes they are at weekly races. It's just what happens. But this event was the racing was off the charts.
You know, if I'm going to build a racetrack,
I was super impressed.
If I'm going to go out and build a racetrack somewhere, I'd want it just like Mason City. That is a great racetrack.
Not me. Me personally, if I was going to build a racetrack, I would build it exactly like Eagle Raceway.
Even the crater in the top of one, they say that hole's been there 40 years. So you take that hole too?
No, I'd fix the hole.
Brent Marks didn't like that hole, did he?
No, I would fix the hole.
Let me tell you this. So I've loved watching these high limit races. I think I've only missed one or two of the A mains. That was an incredible race Tuesday night. But so on this deal at Mason City, here's what's crazy about it. So that track was huge when Todd and Ryan and Al Haynen was a part of it initially with them, and when they took that lease on, you know, that was a massive track, as Kirk well knows, and they cut it down and they banked it, but it wasn't quite right, and it didn't race very well, and Todd and Ryan weren't happy with it, and Todd especially, and he said no, this isn't going to cut it either. So he has rebuilt that racetrack twice since they've had it, and I don't know about you guys, but I don't know a whole lot of people that would completely reconfigure a racetrack 2 times to figure out what they need to do.
Not many.
I'm telling you this.
Not many people do that.
No, and it's on the money right now. They got a World Outlaws late model race coming up here in a couple weeks. That place is ready for prime time. I'm telling you, it's going to open a lot of people's eyes across the country.
You know what I see more and more nowadays, Trenton, is the capital improvements that people do to the racetracks is next to none. I'm just telling you, when you go to some of these racetracks out in the middle of nowhere, they don't do anything to these racetracks. And then what they do is they back up the back gate and they make it a back gate class, and they have 7 classes and they run them all night long, and they don't care how many people they get in the stands. They really don't care.
So that happens some. I'll be the first to tell you, I see that too. I've seen a whole lot more emphasis on the back gate in the past few years.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason. I don't know. I still tell you this, you know, Chris David at Race on Texas, he put out a pretty cool picture. I don't know, one of the tracks they were at this weekend down in Texas, it had it was in Kennedale. They're just outside of Arlington. And they had a packed grandstand, and the race just streamed live. And I tell people this all the time. And I get a lot of people look at me like I have 2 heads when I tell them, but this is honest to God's truth, and I got 10 years of data to back this up. The best live streams are when the grandstands are full, and that takes a lot of people by surprise, because the easy thing to say is, oh well, this live streaming's killing racing because they're not getting anybody in the stand. That is absolutely not the truth. People either care about your race or they don't, and that's the bottom line. And it's a lot of humble pie for people, but you see, I see all this. I read this stuff on Facebook and Twitter just like everybody else does, and it's easy to go, hey, screw the streaming companies, when in all actuality, we're the ones that are really pushing the sport forward right now, helping with a lot of purses, a lot of payoffs, a lot of point funds, and a lot of bonus money. That's stuff that did not exist before streaming happened, and that's just a simple fact. And so the more people that you can get in that front gate, it's going to be the more money for the promoter on the streaming side of things as well. Guaranteed.
No doubt about it.
No question about it. And it looks better on your live stream to see those grandstands packed, because it gives people the feeling that are tuned in, hey, this must be a big deal. Look at those grandstands.
Here's one of the questions that I asked Brian Brown the other day on an interview. Trenton, tell me how we get young people back in the grandstands.
Man, that's a great question. I don't really know. I mean, for me, I can answer for me. For me, it was a love of cars, and it was all of them. It was Mustangs, Camaros, Trans-Ams, Firebirds, Corvettes.
But that's when you could work on them back then.
Yeah, but I mean, you listen. You aren't working on much 15 years ago, right? So it's not like it's been maybe 20 at this point. I'll show my age a little bit, but They were still fairly complex at that point. For me, it was a love of cars, and I still love vehicles. Like one of my favorite things driving down the road, seeing occasionally you'll meet that one wild looking hot rod car, whatever, and that stuff interests me as much today as it did when I was 15, 16 years old.
Right.
So it was a natural progression for me growing up in a rural area. We had this place that had these rear-wheel drive, small block V8 engines. They just sound out of this world good. You guys know too. Even, they're talking about B-mod. Even a B-mod motor, when it fires up in the pit, sounds pretty good when you hear that cam chopping and it's just idling in the pit. It's just something about that that's like, man, that kind of gets my blood pumping a little bit.
Let me ask you.
I don't know.
Let me ask you a question. Are the B mods as fast as the A mods were back in the early 2000s?
I mean, I don't have my race pass to verify it, but everybody you talk to says it was. I don't know that I'm qualified to speak on it, but I can tell you that the B mods have a lot of really cool race parts on them.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot.
Right.
Quick changes and good transmissions, and tires and wheels are the exact same. The body rules are pretty good. USRA's got a slick looking body for their B mods. They really do. They look good. Sail panels look good. That matches the quarter panels. The body it looks right. On the racetrack. They got good shocks. There's a lot of really good race car parts on those cars.
Trenton, probably the most exciting thing I saw on Saturday night was your former champion, Dustin Sorensen, making it into the A main at the late model Dream on Saturday night, in about as exciting a transfer position as you'll ever see at Eldora. Your thoughts about Dustin Sorensen make the A main?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I've missed watching him race this year, and he hasn't been out as many nights as he was last year chasing that USMT's title. So it was awesome to see him have that great a run, see it get so much positive play. Awesome for MB Customs race cars as well. For Jimmy Mars, I mean that's a homegrown operation, and with Jimmy deciding to retire at the end of last season, but he wanted to still field his race car team. Picked Dustin to fill that seat, and that was awesome to see that he was able to get that spot and get his way into Eldora. It's in the late model world, and probably sprint cars too, for that matter, it means a little more at Eldora, and that's it was awesome to see. Sorensen was always somebody, he would never give anybody an inch on the racetrack, and I was glad to see that carried over, because I don't say that to say Dustin was never dirty. Like I don't want to misconstrue what I'm saying there, but he was just a tough, hard-nosed racer that was going to get everything he could out of his race car, and he showed that Saturday night as well in Jimmy's their late model, which was fabulous.
And he'd never seen that racetrack before last weekend. He'd never been there before at all, had he?
No, hadn't. And that's a place, historically kind of tough on rookies. Rookies don't typically have a whole lot of success in the World 100 and the Dream right out of the gate. That place is, as you guys can well attest, it's about as demanding as it gets on equipment and your psyche. And, a lot of times you got to run right up there against the wall to be fast and be able to pass cars. So.
Well, unfortunately, Saturday night the track took rubber and everybody was racing on the bottom.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw it took rubber. That's pretty uncharacteristic for Eldora. I don't recall the last time I'd ever seen it rubber on the bottom like that, and let alone rubber so early.
So are Sanders and Phillips the two big favorites up there this weekend? Who else got a shot at this thing?
Man, so I think Jake O'Neill probably is another one. I think Ramirez, and then you get in that area, and there are so many of those guys that just race with it. I think Jake Tim, probably another one that should be factored in. Jake's won there at Cedar Lake, raced there a bunch. That's just 4 or 5 names right off the top of my head that I would probably keep an eye on. Tyler Wolf too. I can't take him out of the equation as fast as he's been here lately. So yeah, that's a few of it, and I'm sure I'm missing. I guarantee you I'm missing somebody on the tour that's going to step up, and I'm surely missing a couple 3 local guys, that run really well there too. There's so many that it's one of the most popular events. This one's in the realm. It's in the realm of the Jamboree, and it's in the realm of the King of America. This is one of the ones that everybody looks at. They look at the Ogilvy race as well. I mean, those are kind of the 4 USMTS events that stand just a little bit taller over the rest of them that are on the schedule. So this is a big one, and it's important to win it.
Chase Rodman, who we have on every week from the World of Outlaws, called Ogilvy Raceway one of the great facilities he's been to for the World of Outlaws.
No question about it. No question about it. You walk right in there. Their suites are all inside. Their suites, concessions, bar, restrooms, apparel stand, and dining area is all in one enclosed building that is behind the grandstands, and it's out of this world. It's one of the coolest single structures I've seen in the sport. Place is a gem, an absolute gem.
And you'll be there.
I don't know if you guys are catching this drift or not, but I am really fond on racing in the north in Minnesota and Wisconsin, Iowa. It's really good. And we go to some fantastic racetracks.
Well, there's more tracks up there than anywhere else, right?
Well, and so what there are too is there are more people that go buy tickets and go sit in the grandstands. So it's kind of funny how this conversation all leads back full circle to what you said, Scott, about selling those front gate tickets. They don't struggle to sell front gate tickets in that part of the country.
Right.
It's a different culture up there, is it not? I mean, it's different up there.
It is. They care more about racing. They just do. And I've talked to a lot of people in the South, and they don't get it, and they don't understand, and they don't want to hear it. And it's like I have spent so much of my life going to racetracks, all different pockets of the country, all different regions, all different things, and they just care about it a little more in the north.
There you have it. That's Trenton Berry from RacingDirt.com. The only place that you can watch the Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour races and all the USMTS coverage and USRA coverage as well. They do a great job over there covering modified racing, and they're getting into the sprint car world a little bit now as well. So
they got a couple of big events tonight. Cedar Lake Speedway for the Masters. That's a can't miss. Racing's been good up there all week.
And 81 Speedway for ASCS, right?
ASCS National Tour at 81 Speedway. We'll see if Matt Covington can get it done again tonight as he did last night. The big event on my list tonight is Port Royal Speedway, where they've got both Silver Crown and USAC National wingless sprint cars, non-wing sprint cars, both at Port Royal Speedway tonight. I'm watching that one.
I will not be watching any TV tonight because
you're going to be at Rival Sons.
Rival Sons. Let me tell you, Rival Sons, just for anybody that wants to know anything about Rival Sons, I think they're one of the best rock bands out there. Todd, would you agree with? They're maybe one of the. I'm telling you, the drummer that plays Mike Miley, I think is his name. Mm-hmm. Mike Miley is the drummer, and he is a fantastic drummer. And the lead singer, Jay Buchanan, he is one of the best singers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're starting to hear some of their music on some of the commercials. So I think
the Chevy commercial.
The Chevy commercial that you hear that's so much playing right now, that's Rival Sons music. So once you've crossed into that realm, that's when you start to, because what happens is you seep into the psyche of people that don't know who you are, wouldn't try to seek you out, but they're like, right. Hey, I've heard that guy, I've heard that name, I've heard that sound, I've heard that singer. And what'll happen is that band's they're gonna blow up. Rival Sons and Dirty Honey are probably my two favorite new bands.
Dirty Honey is really good. And have you ever heard of Monster Truck?
Yeah, Monster Truck's good.
They're a real good band.
So it's sold out down there tonight, you think, or has they got tickets?
It's probably still be able to walk in and get you a ticket. But it's going to be, like you said, it's not a low attended show. There's going to be a lot of people there. So
yeah. What do you charge for tickets?
Oh, I think those are not.
I think I bought my tickets for about $50.
I was going to say 45.
Where are you sitting at? What kind of seats you got?
I don't know where we're sitting.
You don't know?
No.
That's what you get when you go down.
You know, the thing I
Is that same place we saw Marcus King?
No. Oh, it is.
Yeah, up there.
Same place.
Same place.
Yeah.
Same place Dale Jr. had his thing, right?
Right. We
Yeah.
went there and
That's
did
a
the
good
Dale
theater.
Jr. deal.
Yeah.
It's a good place.
Yeah. That was pretty fun, wasn't it?
That was the week. I think that was probably 1 year before I started working with you guys.
Was it?
I think so.
Your first week?
I think it was right before I started working with you. I think you guys had done that year, and because I think I remember paying attention to that show.
Who opens up for him?
I don't know who the two opening bands is, but here's what I do know. I've got
You said they're good, though.
2 or 3 friends that are musicians themselves, and they said, both of them said, make sure if you're going to the show tonight, make sure you get there early enough to check out the opening bands because it's a definite. It's not just a filler opening band. It's a really good opening band. So definitely go down there and check it out. I trust the opinions of the people that said this, and so it should be a very good show.
When I saw them the last time, Sheepdogs opened up for them.
Is that right?
Have you ever heard of the Sheepdogs?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah,
Just,
they're a pretty good band. They sound a little bit like the Allman Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all in that same, it's a blues-based rock thing with heavy grooves. So, I mean, that's kind of what you're...
Yeah, but Rival Sons is a rock band.
That's what I'm saying. But musically, it's blues-based.
So is Rival Sons just
Yeah.
kind of an up-and-coming band? Or are they?
No, they've been around.
They've been around a
They've
while.
been around since 09.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, there's a lot of these bands that are like that, the Dirty Honeys and these guys and Greta Van Fleet.
It just takes a while for them to get in.
All of them are that era of music that's kind of scaled it back in what they, you know what I mean, make it more of a basic 4-piece band, 3-piece band, jam band. You know what I'm saying? Where it isn't so overproduction.
They've been opening for Greta Van Fleet quite a bit.
Yeah, and those guys, people don't know. Greta Van Fleet, you know, they blew up because of their first thing, but they've kind of crossed over now, and they're touring. A lot of these bands like touring with Greta Van Fleet because they're getting a lot of the new and they're getting the girlies, right?
Right.
Because the singer acts the way he does, you know, and he dresses the way he does. He wears the one-piece thing.
Yeah.
And his brother's the guitar player who has the longest hair and wears, and so Greta Van Fleet, you know, whether you like them or not, these guys they found their little niche, and they were the first ones on radio. I heard them on radio.
Yeah.
Then they were doing the NFL games.
Yeah.
Then they were doing the NFL pack. You know, they had their song was the NFL thing. So.
Did you see Robert Plant's comment on them?
I probably did. I think.
Let me tell you, Robert Plant is not a big fan of Greta Van Fleet.
Is that, well,
neither are you, are you?
Huh?
You're not a real big
No,
fan.
I don't mind Greta Van Fleet. Yeah. I like him a little bit.
The funny thing with Robert, though, is he took everything from somebody he heard, too.
He's ripping off Robert Plant.
Yeah, and Robert ripped off, I mean, it's
a bunch of blues players.
Yeah, I mean, so for anybody to just go down that rabbit hole or down that road, it's you know, there's only there's only 12 notes, and there's only a certain amount of ways to, you know, eight of them are the ones that you know. So you know what I'm saying?
But just the biggest thing to me about any musical act is you got to be distinct. So
Absolutely.
if you hear their music, you know exactly what it is.
And that's what that kid did.
Robert,
that is
and
what
Greta
makes
Van Fleet is one of those
and
guys.
Did that.
Because his voice is unique.
And he definitely knew that would, and trust me, I've heard him sing when he was a little younger. He doesn't always sound like that. He's really pushing that angle to get that. And no, it'll be a good show tonight. Like I said, I think these guys are one of those bands that in the next 10 years they'll be a mainstay on a lot of the rock and roll channels. And music's just different now, guys.
No doubt.
We don't get it like we used to get it, man. It's
not rough and tough and get enough.
And you don't have radio stations really pushing everything. You got to kind of find this stuff yourself. And what happens? People don't stop liking music. They just stop. They have a hard time finding where the good music is, and so you get tired, right? And that's what happens.
Yeah,
so,
no doubt.
And these guys, the business model is different than it used to be.
Yeah.
The way these people, you don't make money off records anymore,
no,
right?
You make money on album sale. I mean, on T-shirt sales and ticket sales. Yeah. I mean, that's how you're making your money, you know. And you've got guys in the band working the merch. I mean,
I bought a Government Mule shirt.
I bought 3 shirts. the other night when we went there, I bought the Steve Vai show.
They were $35.
They are,
a
and
piece.
here's how I look at it. It is helping these musicians because that money is going right into their pocket. That's their money.
They had a long line down there
and
of
that's
people
really,
buying government mules.
and that's really good to
It's
see.
like racers selling merchandise.
Absolutely.
That's how they
So
make
if you're
their
out there tonight at the racetrack, make sure you do. If you do have a pit pass, go down there and buy those. All those guys have a T-shirt or a koozie or a bandana or something.
Yeah, no doubt.
Go down there and buy from them because let me tell you something. There's not a lot of people buying T-shirts and pictures and stuff from guys down there in the track. So support your local photographers, your local race car drivers because they really need the help.
Right, no doubt. All right, Kirk. So we'll wrap it up here today.
We'll be here Monday.
We'll be here Monday at noon, and we hope that you'll join us.
We're not sure who we have on yet. We'll have Chase Rodman from Mexico.
And Trenton Berry.
will be joining us.
And if somebody wins tonight,
And
Depends on who
we'll
wins
probably
tonight, right?
replay that Jake Buback.
Yeah, we're gonna play the Jake Buback interview
Yeah,
for
we'll
people
play
that
that.
missed
And
it.
we'll see what happens tonight.
And you can play that Wyatt Burks.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then if we get a winner tonight, who knows? One of our friends may win tonight, and we'll be on the phone with them and booking them for Monday.
Yep. Tammy, we'll see you on Monday as well, and I can't wait to get out to PA. I'm looking forward to it. I just hope our old truck can make it out there and back.
Well, we just bought the thing. What are you talking about?
Well,
I hope it makes it out there and back.
I hope it does. And I'm going to drop the trailer off at Eldora on the way back.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we're going to head out to the Million coming up here in a few weeks.
No doubt. We got an RV spot, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
They've got it all reserved. They even texted me a lot number where to park it.
All right. Perfect. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB and RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. I want to thank Todd Surprise for always doing a great job, as usual.
Thank you, Todd.
For us.
Thank you.
And he always does a great job for us. And, you know, I always enjoy just talking with Todd because we like to talk music. And that's always a good thing here on
Todd is talk about anything. Todd can talk to you about
He's well-rounded. Yeah, no doubt about it. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. It's all been brought to you by Rod End Supply. The POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints are going to be racing at Nevada tonight. So if you were down by Nevada, go down there and check them out. They are very fast, the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. A lot of times they're faster than the modifieds, just so you know. So get down there and check them out. And it's all brought to you by Rod End Supply. For Todd Surprise, for Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you next Monday right here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.